Welcome to the Sarah Show. This has been so much fun to put together for you guys because I am so inspired by a lot of people that I connect with and talk to on the phone every single week. And it is fun to say, I love you, come meet my friends. And it's like we get to hang out. And so Jenny Berk, this is so much fun to have you because you are like a Facebook superstar, which we've got to get into the whole 7 degrees of separation in a second. But I just want to tell people just how cool you are. You and I were both struggling through, I'm sure we haven't even talked about this, but April school vacation week. Myself with 2 kids who I shouldn't even complain because they're barely even school age, and yourself with your 3 girls. How old are your girls?
13, 10, and 8.
Oh, so you've got it. You're like, I'm sorry, I'm running late. I'm like, please, you have 3 kids. I don't even know what you bribed them with. Probably some TV. Shh, be quiet. Mama's on TV. But right. You've had 14 years in this industry of health coaching, of beyond weight loss, which is your patented, which I just love that name. I think that's so great. The beyond weight loss method that you is it patented? Is that what the TM? Is that what you say that you trademark?
Yeah.
Is it me? Know. Is it you? Oh, it's you. And so you have a master's. So you went to school. This is what I want to talk about. Let's talk about, actually, we'll jump around a little bit because I want to talk about your schooling first. So you went to UPenn, you got a master's in professional health coaching. Well, that's not where, in education and psychological services. What does that mean? How did you know you wanted a master's in that?
So if we go way back, I was actually an A&R executive at MCA Records in New York. And I had this, I know it was crazy. I was signing bands and seeing music. This was in my early 20s. And
which record company?
It was Universal MCA Records.
Oh, that's funny. I have a friend I can't remember where he worked. I'm going to have to tag him and say he did the same thing, and now he has his own label. But that's crazy.
It was so fun. I mean, look, it was so fun. I was seeing bands all the time and meeting celebrities and doing all kinds of fun stuff. But I just knew it wasn't aligned with me because I wasn't helping people and I wasn't really doing what I felt like I was meant to do in this world. So it was sort of a fun diversion. And then I finally was like, you know what? I need to go back to my roots. I love psychology. I love education and learning. And I decided I wanted to go back to school to be a psychologist. So I went to Penn, which had a really unique program, which was in the School of Education that was psychological services. So I was actually studying to be a school psychologist.
Okay.
Or higher learning educator. But I got sidelined when I met my husband, and
we all do.
Of course. I was like, oh, I guess I'm moving to Boston now. So I was in Penn, I was at Penn. I was going to go get my PhD, et cetera. Ended up finding this amazing job at a health and weight management company, and ended up there for 13 years and had my children while I was there. And so it's been a long journey, but the program itself gave me the counseling and therapy techniques to work with people. And then my job where I was for 13 years gave me all that coaching skills and ability to really, integrate both the therapy and the psychological aspect of working with somebody with also that particular skill of being a coach, which is about being in action in a lot of ways, right? So I realized that I loved both of it. And that's why I'm an eating psychology coach, because I get to do the psychology piece as well as the coaching piece.
I think it's just so interesting from my perspective in healthcare, being someone who implements in I tend to work in more traditional healthcare settings. So your primary care, that kind of setting where these physicians, they know that they need something in terms of weight loss or just weight management. I mean, and really it comes down to the population that they're seeing. They're like, if you lose weight, you will get healthier and a lot of your health challenges will go away. I mean, so I know that what you do is even beyond that, but my practitioners are like, I got a BMI chart right here and you're not fitting into it. So what do I do? And they have that. The arena is primed for them to do things that give them positive outcomes, because it has this health population management. They get metrics on how well they're educating, how well they're doing intensive behavioral counseling. So they're saying, please do that. But at the same time, then employers, because my private docs are not being able to stay in business and afford it, and they're selling to the hospital, and the hospital saying, well, yeah, we want you to do all those good things, but can you do it in about 6.5 minutes? Could you get in, your primary care exam? Could you, counsel this patient on the disease state you just discovered in them? And then at the same time, can you let them know how they're going to fit in, the 6 to 8 servings of fruits and veggies that they need in the day. And so I've been doing a lot of studying on health coaching fitting into being a really great solution to this picture. And so I wanted just to know from your perspective where you thought this, because unfortunately, there's so many people that just call themselves a health coach and they're not truly a health coach. I mean, you have 14 years, you have a master's, like you're doing it. I mean, your online programs are super impressive. So tell me a little bit about like how you think health coaching is fitting into this bigger picture of healthcare.
Yeah, it's such a great question. And, there used to be just the term coach. It was like a life coach. And it's really like expanded into such specific niches, right? So there's like, I know somebody who's a functional medicine coach, and I know somebody who's, I'm an eating psychology coach. I know people who just deal with like specific nutrition and dietary restructuring, right? So there's so many elements of it. But I feel like the traditional healthcare, at least what I was at, it was a very traditional medically supervised weight management program that was entrenched in research and empirical data to inform how we worked with people. It was a very like cognitive behavioral approach. But it was also BMI focused and everything that you're describing. And I feel like there's got to be a distinction between health in terms of, so health sometimes, like you could feel like you can look at somebody and determine their health status. And sometimes if you see somebody who's in a larger body, you make assumptions about their health based on their size. And what I have found, and I was working with people to lose weight. That was my sole focus. I was doing facilitating classes, but it was this really aggressive approach. And it wasn't looking into the root cause of why people feel the need to eat foods that are not healthy, or to overeat, or to binge eat, and underlying sort of body image concerns, and all of that relates to your health too. And so my philosophy now is about more understanding the root cause, the emotional and psychological and environmental reasons why we feel so called to overeat. Like, what role does the culture play? What role does our history play? Our family, the messages we got from our family, from society, from our peers. How does that all play a role into our belief systems that now manifest on our bodies and in our behaviors? So that's the kind of thing that I'm trying to dig into, because health and happiness is not just about weight. And it's not just about what you eat. It's a much bigger holistic picture, right? So that's what I'm trying to, accomplish in my business and in my practice.
And it comes out so many different ways, right? I mean, whether you are addicted to food, you're addicted to work, whether, there's so many different ways that this can present itself. And when things just, you could just be disorganized and cluttered in your house and had a lot, and so I don't think it really, I think it's so important and special that what you do is focused on those folks who their mental health is manifesting in the foods that they're choosing, in their relationship with their nutrition, with their diet. I mean, and not a diet of like you go on a diet, but a diet of like the foods that are, on your plate, what you're choosing to consume, right? We all have a diet of what we eat. And I'm just so fascinated by the psychology of a healthy lifestyle, because there's so much more science that's coming out. I specialize in the field of nutrigenomics, so where we can look at some key genes and how these genes can be turned on or turned off. One of my accounts that I work with is actually a psychotherapist who's out of the DC area, and he's marrying, his psychotherapy practice with exactly like what you're talking about, food choices. And, because we can't just say, hey, you've had this habit your entire life, right? So forget about it. You're no longer going to eat pasta. Go spiralize some zucchini.
Exactly.
You'll be just happy.
Here's some carrot noodles. Enjoy.
Not the same thing. And then what are those, what are those triggers? What are those pathways, and how can we rework them? And it's so complicated. I mean, we don't even really understand so far, but I mean, you must be uncovering things every single day. I mean, why do you think it's so important, instead of coming from the perspective of, right? Because we could come from the perspective of like a personal trainer who's like, I can calories in, calories out. Let's just exercise more. Or, a registered dietitian who's super important. Like, let's balance all your macros and make sure that, you have a balanced diet. But why do you think that for some people, the psychology place is the place that they need to start?
Well, there's several reasons. Number one is we are very conditioned at an early age to trust experts, like especially with our nutrition. We sort of outsource our nutrition. First, we listen to our parents: eat this, don't eat this, finish your plate, don't. And then, as things happen in our worlds, we give our power over to dietitians and nutritionists, which is fine and great, because look, it's confusing, it's overwhelming. There's constant research being put out and, into the world, and some of them are contradicting each other, that I think a lot of people just feel so overwhelmed by it and so confused that they're just like, you know what, I'm just going to eat what I want. And oftentimes, because of our culture, the foods that we want and then the foods that are available to us are fast foods, are processed foods, are things that are quick and easy, that aren't nutrient dense, right? So, and also what I'll say is there's a lot of times our relationship with food is steeped in early trauma, whether it's sexual trauma or other types of abuse, or potentially just a sense of lack of self-worth, understanding your purpose in the world. And when you're, I look at health as sort of, I call it like pillars of health, right? And there's community, and there's spirituality, and there's nutrition, and there's movement, and there's pursuing your passions and dreams. And a lot of times, if one or more of those things are out of whack, we're going to turn to food for that surrogate role, to fill that void. Why? Because it works. It works. It's abundant. It's cheap. It's socially acceptable. It changes your physiology. And then it becomes a habit. Then all of a sudden we have this association with, oh, I'm uncomfortable right now, so therefore I'm going to turn to food because that's always worked before. And so there you get into this sort of imbroglio, like where you're like, okay, I've always done this. I don't know how to stop doing this. And that's when I can get into some of the root cause of why it started to begin with, and how to, like you said, rewire your brain and neural pathways to short circuit that food script that has always sort of served you, but really doesn't serve you. It actually fills you with angst, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, Jesus, he celebrated with bread and wine. Like, that sounds good to me, right? Like, I'm all about, let's start every meal like that. So, and it's like, how do you figure it all out? And so let's get a little personal. I mean, your mom was a chef. My dad is a lifestyle medicine physician. This is a recent thing. I was an adult when he decided to become a lifestyle medicine physician. And my mom always says that, why couldn't dad just open a bakery? Like, why do we, need to be all about kale chips in my household? And now I'm raising my two kids. We're plant-based at home. And I'm a little bit flexible when we go out. I'm not crazy, and I'm realistic, but at the same time, I'm trying to teach them a relationship with food and why we make food choices. And you have your three girls, and I mean, we're going to screw them up. It doesn't matter what we're going to do, but give me mom to mom, like, give me some advice. How are you empowering, especially you have three daughters, and they're at this crucial time with a relationship with food, right? Because there's some of the girls, and I remember, like, I was not one of those girls that could, just get McDonald's milkshakes every day. Like I noticed it. And then I had the other friends that they were just like little tiny bean bowls, right? And it didn't matter what they ate. And so how are you navigating that with your family?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. And it's so true. It's so complicated. It's so complex. There's so many nuances to it because you want to, well, for my whole thing is I want to provide the healthy and balanced foods. It's got to be in the environment for them to eat it. If it's not there, they're not going to eat it. But number two, and this is something that I think is even harder for a lot of parents and hard for me too, is I'm trying to let them trust their bodies. I'm trying to have them tune in to when they're hungry and when they're full, and not supplant my own beliefs onto them, which I feel like a lot of parents do. Like if you look at a baby, you're like, you can't be done here, and the baby's like, get that spoon away from me, like, or tosses on the floor, and we feel like we know more than the own person, than the own baby, how hungry they are or how full they are. So what I've always tried to do with them is to help them foster a sense of trust within their own bodies, that they are the ones that know how much to eat. And my job is to provide the healthy foods, is to make sure it's in abundance and prepare them and cook those meals for them. But like, so my daughter will say to me like, well, mommy, how many chocolate chips can I have tonight? And I want to be like 10, or like, I want to be like,
I don't know where Jenny went.
Oh, I'm still here.
Where did she go? I mean, it's so, I love what she's saying when she comes back. And I hope we're still on here. Oh, she left us. But yeah, I mean, I think that is so huge what Jenny is saying about we as the moms are the ones who are providing the food. We're the ones that cooking. And I'll never forget, and not to throw my parents under the bus. I mean, I have the best parents ever. And I know a lot of you guys know my parents and that are on here today. I'll never forget.
Am I back?
My parents would only, oh, there you're back. Wait, I'm telling a story about my dad. When we were growing up, my dad would only buy us the Kraft macaroni and cheese, right? Because that was like the best kind of macaroni and cheese, Kraft brand. And it's so funny. We laugh about that today, where he's now, a plant-based nutritionist. He's a lifestyle medicine doctor. And he's, that just goes to what you were saying, Jenny, like it's up to us. Like we make the food choices, right? And it's like know better, do better. And you can't beat yourself up because, what we thought was okay, even just last week, last month, last decade, might not be right today for our families, for our kids. Yeah. Did you want to finish your thought?
Yeah, am I back? I never left.
You're back. You're back. Okay, I don't know where you went. Yeah, I just kind of picked up where you were there.
I went into the internet void, apparently.
It happens. It happens.
But what I was saying is like, I feel so like I want to be like, okay, have this many cookies, but ultimately I have to say, well, what do you think? Like, what have you eaten today? How does your body feel? Like, what do you think is a good amount to have right now? And it's really hard, but like, I can't be that judge and jury for them. I have to make sure that they're active, that they're doing sports and that they're exercising and that I'm providing healthy food. And this is what my mom did for me too. Like as a chef, like you can imagine the kind of after school snacks that I had. It was like no joke. It was like gourmet stuff all the time. And by the way, my brother and I both became vegetarians at age 15. And my mom was like, what am I going to do with this? Like, so we both had to sort of navigate some of our own choices from a pretty early age. And, I always struggled with my weight, but my mom never did. My mom was, skinny. She still is. And so it always felt like this polarity of like, okay, food is I'm supposed to enjoy food and food is love, but I better watch it. I better like not eat too much. And so from my perspective now, having 3 daughters, I want them to feel good about their bodies. I want them to have a sense of like, security and confidence in who they are as people. And look, there are no easy answers, but I'm glad that I can talk to them. I'm glad that I have the consciousness that I do now so that I can help guide them through this, all the thorns and thistles that they're going to experience. There's only so much time that we have, right, as moms to play an important role in their nutrition and who they are. And then eventually their peers and society will take a bigger role in that. I know.
They're not leaving the house.
No, they're not leaving the house.
Next week, I'm not bringing them back to school. I did a workout class this week, and one of the moms, it was a mommy and me. So myself and my 4-year-old, we did a fun workout class together, and I put the 1-year-old in the little play area. They had built-in babysitting, and I overheard someone say they were putting their little one in the babysitting. And they were like, if you're good, I'll take you to Dunkin' Donuts to get some munchkins after. And I was like, it was like nailed on a chalkboard to me. I was like, no. Like, I mean, it's okay, right? We're not going to die if we have a munchkin, right? I'm not going to say my kids have never like grabbed a munchkin at a birthday party or whatever, but I'm not like anchoring if you're good with a Dunkin' Donuts munchkin. You know, there's just certain things that, again, like when you know better, you do better. And that's so hard. And I just love to come together with other moms because, you know, and I've done the same thing where I'm like, oh, you know, you're at the doctor's or something and you're like, well, we get through this. I'm sure they'll give you a lollipop, you know, and like, because that's what my mom, I went to Dairy Queen after I went to the pediatrician. It was like a little ritual that we did. And so I just, how you navigate that. It's so important to come together. And you brought up, the Institute of Lifestyle Medicine here at Harvard University in Boston, they do talk about the pillars of health. And one of them that I think is so important is community. And you have an incredible community of over 1,000 people in your Wellness Warriors, right? Your support group. And so I have been in this group and loving this group and just made the connection today that it was your group. And I have like mutual friends I've like put in this group, and I see that they're posting things, and this is like so cool and so fun. So link below in the comments so you can see the Wellness Warriors group and link up to that. You are both online, but the other thing that I just want to end with is an opportunity for people to share you, because you are just this little bundle of energy and joy and amazingness and a force to be reckoned with on the internet. And I think that your biggest push right now is to speak, whether to speak to communities like the Sarah Show, or, you know, speak to people's Facebook groups, if you run a Facebook group. So how can someone get in touch with you, Jenny? Because I want your message spread far and wide. So what's the best way to contact you to do that?
Thank you so much, Sarah. That is so sweet of you. And I've so enjoyed talking with you today. I feel like we could just go on for hours, because at some point I want to talk to you about nutrigenomic. Is that what it's called? Nutrigenomics?
Yeah, nutrigenomics. Yes.
Genomics. Yes. And there's so many facets to health that we could just discuss for hours. But the best place to reach me, I guess, is, well, first of all, of course, Wellness Warriors. Everyone is welcome in that community. And thank you so much for that shout out. And if you'd like to, find my email, you can just go to my website, www.jennyeden, as in the garden of, coaching.com. Yeah. So thank you so much.
That was like a maiden name, or what the Eden connection was.
It's my middle name. It's my middle name.
It is. Oh, your mom is so cute. That's so sweet. Yeah. Like that it's like the Garden of Eden, and she was a cat. That's is that why she did it?
I'm not really sure, because like at that time there was no other Edens. Like I didn't know any. But then the soap opera Santa Barbara came out, and the main character was named Eden. And then after that, I was like, I love my middle name. So I knew I wanted it for my business because of the, you think of this like ethereal and strong woman and like, sensuality and all kinds of stuff.
Perfect. So. I was watching your little video, like your promo video, and you were navigating through a Whole Foods, and you're in the garden, and you like ate some plant right out of the garden. I was like, I don't even know how to grow anything. That's so amazing. I have like this little seedling I'm trying to keep alive for my daughter. She got it from preschool. I'm like, I'm going to kill it. Water, sunlight. Mom. I know. So amazing. I hope my community connects with you. It's been so much fun. Thank you. Thanks for being a part of the Sarah Show. And we will talk to you soon. Bye, Jenny.
Bye.